Now we'll look into the filter named order by. To do this, we'll create an ng app named limitTo and we are attaching it to our body. Inside the script, we have the limitTo where we are defining our Angular app. This Angular app is now attached to a controller named example controller. If this is the first time you're looking at the controller and the way we are using it, be assured that in the upcoming months we have the controller in a detailed way. For now, you can understand that just like we can declare a variable like this, and you're okay with this kind of declaration, later on you can just go ahead and add a controller to my app. So if this is fine, even the earlier one is fine as well, because this is what we have as method chaining. Now, controller as such operates on the data that is seen on the view. If you compare it with a directive in Angular is about manipulating the DOM. Controller is about the data, the model. So we will continue with our controller. Is the name of the controller, it takes these two dependencies. You may notice that you have a $scope which is required, where scope is the reference where you have all your data. So the controller has dependency on the scope, and this part, the second part that you have here, is your anonymous function. Now you know why we were studying anonymous function in our JavaScript for AngularJS course, the beginner course for learning JavaScript for Angular. That's freely available on YouTube. If you have not seen that, you may want to watch that. There are a few quick videos from beginner to Java to beginner to JavaScript to learn AngularJS. So you may want to watch that if you have issues with anonymous functions. Now, once you have this function definition, this is where your controller is. This is where your data is manipulated or operated upon. So let's keep it simple now. Within the $scope, if you remember, $scope can be viewed as, you can understand that as a box where all your variables are available for this program, for this application. So you have $scope, which has numbers, letters, long number, and other stuffs, which is an array, string, and numbers. Okay, we'll take a simple case inside the dev. Now you're saying that the controller that you defined for this app has availability or its scope here. Okay, so all the operations that you can do within this scope is available here inside this div tag. So we'll take the simplest one. We'll remove this other stuffs and we'll comment it. Okay, now we are taking that just limit to numbers. So whatever is a number will be output. So let's refresh it. Rather, if we just save it, it will refresh. Yeah, I saved it, and you see that limitTo is an array. It's printed just as it is. Now later on, I also have a p tag which says that output numbers, right? So output numbers will be a number, and now you have the limitTo filter. So limitTo is actually this set of array numbers, right? LimitTo the numbers. Yeah, this is the set of numbers. This is the set of numbers which should be output, but we are putting a limit to, and the value is num limit. What is the value of num limit here? Num limit is 3. So we are limiting the output of numbers to just first 3. If I remove this filter and I save it, you see that I get the complete array. But if I go ahead and I add the filter, it restricts it to only 3. So now it's clear that limitTo will limit based on the value you provide to it. Let's go ahead and uncomment this part and have this. So now you have a simple input field which is not much to do with the limit, right? We just have the ng model and we are assigning the value to letter limit. So let us check the output of the entire thing now. So I uncomment this part. and I save. Now, this in the second case, we have a string, and to that we are restricting it to value 3. The output will be only 3 letters of this string letter. So this is the normal output. I'm limiting it to the letter limit. So instead of number limit, I have a variable named letter limit. If I change the value of letter limit here, if I increase it to 4, you see it is increasing its output in the filter. And this is also two-way data binding. The user is changing the value, and the value of the letter limit is changing in your JavaScript, right? So if in your controller, so if that is happening, that is what is uh, two-way data binding, right? If you change the value here, suppose I change the value to 4, and it immediately reflects here. As soon as I save it, it shows up here. So that is the from the server to the client, and if I change it from here, it is from the client to the server. Similarly, you can go ahead and understand how the long number limit works.